Well, Donald Trump was humiliated once again today in the Oval Office, sitting in exactly the same chair where he was humiliated in exactly the same way in this same week on Monday.
An MSNBC anchor just handed Trump his ass. Calm, firm, and absolutely worthless. We're talking about blatant lies, a double humiliation, and all that within just 1 week. And since I've been working on international politics and NATO affairs for the past 3 years in Germany, I figured, let's break this down together. Buckle up, this is gonna be brutal for Trump. Let's go.
Donald Trump made history on Monday by being the first president of the United States to lie publicly about America's oldest ally, France, with the president of France sitting right beside him. That created the historic humiliation touch seen around the world. President Emmanuel Macron of France actually reached across to put his hand on Donald Trump to stop Donald Trump from lying about France.
That didn't look good. Honestly, it stirred up a lot of noises here in Europe. And for 2 reasons. First, let's be real. Trump was playing fast and loose with numbers that simply aren't true. And you can probably guess why. He was trying to create leverage, to squeeze Europe, to push for better deals. And, well, it worked. But here's the second point, and it's the one that really stuck with people over there. Even though Trump got humiliated in that moment, he made one thing painfully clear to the world. It doesn't matter what the truth is. If Trump says this is how it is, people fall in line, even if they know it's nonsense. That's kind of power. It's ugly, but it's real. And now listen what comes next. It gets even darker.
Donald Trump said that Europe contributed less aid to Ukraine than the United States did. That's a lie. Europe has contributed more than the United States has. And Donald Trump once again told the lie that American aid to Ukraine was a donation, but European aid to Ukraine was a loan, and Ukraine was required to pay back France and all the other European countries that have aided Ukraine. And that was a lie that President Macron could not abide. And that is when President Macron interrupted Donald Trump, had to interrupt him and stop him from continuing to tell that lie. Because Donald Trump is not now, and never has been, educable, 3 days later, Donald Trump walked into exactly the same humiliation trap in the Oval Office today with the British Prime Minister sitting beside him.
You know, they get their money back by giving money. We don't get the money back. Biden made a deal. He put in $350 billion. And I thought it was a very unfair situation.
We're not getting all of ours. I mean, quite a bit of ours was gifted. It was given. There were some loans, but mainly it was gifted, actually.
It was gifted, actually. Did you see that left hand? That's the interruption hand that the French president used. The British Prime Minister's left hand goes toward Donald Trump, but he's British. He's British. So he's not touchy-feely. He's not going to touch him. But he does interrupt him, just like the French president did. Once again, Donald Trump told the deranged lie that the aid supplied to Ukraine by the British will have to be paid back by Ukraine. And that is the only thing Donald Trump said today that forced the British Prime Minister to actually interrupt him. The British Prime Minister did not see it as his role to correct Donald Trump for lying about the amount of American aid supplied to Ukraine. Donald Trump more than doubles the real number when he accuses Joe Biden of providing $350 billion in aid to Ukraine, when in fact it was $119 billion.
But let's be honest. Europe wasn't about to sit there and look like a bunch of idiots. I mean, picture this. Your college is trash talking you on camera with millions watching, and you're sitting right next to him. You'd interrupt, wouldn't you? You'd step in and set the record straight. Because the way Trump told it, Europe looked like it just using Ukraine as a cannon fodder, as cheap disposable fighters against Russia, and then had the nerve to ask for every cent back. That's not just false. That's insulting. especially when this war is supposed to be about values, not profit and pipelines. But let's give Trump one thing, intentional or not, he shocked the system. His pressure, his unpredictability, it forced NATO to finally move. Because for 80 years, the US carried 71% of Europe's defense spending. That's changing now. But here's the real question, at what cost? What sticks in the people's minds? The progress or the disrespect? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I'd love to hear what you think. And now, let's move to the final piece. Because Trump, he wasn't done. And to me it's crystal clear, lying with purpose, that's part of his negotiation strategy.
But the world sees it as humiliating to Donald Trump. After the Oval Office session, the president and the prime minister had lunch and then were back in front of the microphones for a formal press conference in which, in his formal opening remarks, Donald Trump proved once again how relentlessly uneducable he is by telling the same lie that he was humiliated for in the Oval Office.
Much of the European aid to Ukraine has been sent in the form of loans for which they expect to be paid back, and we didn't have that honor under the Biden administration. He sent money, or just sent it, money after money after money, and never had any knowledge of ever seeing it back. Maybe $300 to $350 billion.
Manners dictated that the British Prime Minister not interrupt at that point because Donald Trump was struggling his way through a teleprompter read of his formal written opening remarks at the beginning of what was supposed to be a press conference. And so those lies floated by unhindered by reality that time. The reality is that the Biden administration did not send money to Ukraine. The Biden administration sent weapons. The Biden administration sent ammunition, all of it manufactured in the United States. Almost all the money spent on aid to Ukraine was spent in the United States, buying the weapons and ammunition made by American workers in American factories. And again,
let me be honest with you for a second. I'm just gonna pretend I'm a neutral observer here. No fan, no hater, just someone watching from the outside. And what do I hear from this MSNBC commentator? Calm voice, perfectly timed pauses, a very expensive teleprompter, and basically what he's saying is this. This war is a great business for the US defense industry and a terrible deal for the American taxpayers. But it's raped in a way that doesn't hurt, because the real goal isn't to talk about the war, it's to take Trump down. And I'm just wondering if you mentally edit Trump out of this clip for 30 seconds. Doesn't the whole thing start to feel like a massive distraction? A morally polished monologue that conveniently hides the same old game? Billions change their hands? And the people argue over sound bites. Division instead of clarity. But hey, I've only been deep in your media world for 3 weeks. I'm learning more and more every day. If you want to follow along as I keep unveiling this maze, hit like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.